Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 18, Till Death Do Us Part. Ezri and Worf are held captive by the Breen. Sisko defies the Prophets and marries Cassidy. Dukat teams up with Kai Wynn.
So many moving parts.
For an episode where not a lot happened, still it felt very busy and the episode felt very long to me.
Same here. We're tracking a bunch of characters and it's setting up a bunch of stuff, so it pads it out.
It's good. It makes you wish every episode was like this.
Right, where it's part of a continuing story and not just an isolated thing. It's great that we're getting this.
All the reveals really matter to all the characters. So the fact that only really basically 3 things happened. Well, I guess the Dominion and the Breen being chums. They're all just plot points, but each one is significant.
I only know the Breen alliance is significant because Wayun says it. I don't understand why that matters. Are they a formidable force? Am I supposed to understand that?
They're tough guys. Their ship looks really cool.
It does. That's the real secret.
The secret to being cold is looking cool.
Oh man. You need to chill out.
I'll put that on ice. Are we just going to get all these out of our system?
I'm good.
Okay, let's freeze the puns. That's terrible. The Breen aren't in it as much as I think they should have been. They've shown up a couple times. They're tough. So this is a problem?
The enemy expanding is a problem, but I don't have a sense of how much this helps them. That's the problem. What if it's just those 4 dudes on the ship? I don't know.
That's the entire Breen Confederacy. I think there's more of them. I don't think they'd make a big fuss about teaming up with one ship.
I'll take your word for it.
I get your point, though. If Wayun had shown up and said, oh, the Dominion is teaming up with the Bogo Bumps, also the Bogo Bumps are really tough, then what they did is not that much better than that because the Breen have had so little screen time.
We at least have more of the Breen in this episode, so we know, hey, they're willing to torture for reasons, but I would have liked more groundwork leading up to this.
That's something they should have done, which they, I think, tried to fix in this episode, as a lot of the Ezri and Worf stuff seemed to be just to show how mean the Breen are.
Look, they give them gross food and then take them away and don't say stuff.
They do, they say sort of computer noises.
No.
That's pretty
Like
good.
that.
Bit more electric. Like if you could convince a speak and spell to make that noise. Also, she says that no one's ever seen the Breen. Or Worf
That's
says that,
weird.
actually. Yeah, because Kira and Dukat stole Breen uniforms in the episode where they saved Zial.
They never told anyone.
Or they had their eyes shut.
They were so afraid of what they might discover that they disarmed them with their eyes shut.
Undressing corpse whilst blindfolded.
Good skill to put on a CV.
To be honest, Kira is so competent, I think she could manage that. And for some reason, I feel that Ducat would manage it effortlessly too. It's just weird enough that I imagine Ducat could do it for some reason. It's just a weird guy.
I share that view. I could imagine him doing it, and then someone is surprised, and he turns to them and says, "What? You don't do this all the time?"
He'd have an excuse. Oh, during the occupation, it was my sorry responsibility to undress corpses and wear their clothes whilst blindfolded or with my eyes shut. Speaking of Ducat, he has a new BFF.
With whom he sucks face with.
How did you feel about that?
Grossed out.
It's interesting because that's a kiss that's gross entirely because of the characters.
With two evil characters, and then they match forces, so it makes for one gross, yucky kiss.
It sounds mean when you say that. I'm sure Mark Alimo and Louise Fletcher are both lovely people.
I'm sure they are, but they're good at their jobs, and they play these despicable people.
They're almost too good.
That plotline brought more questions than answers for me. How did Ducat align all of this? I'm sure we're going to find all this out, but it was one thing after another where I wondered, how did you manage this?
The prophet vision that Wynne got, I'm guessing that was from the Paraiths.
So he knew she was going to be there, and then that the Powderates would come to her before he arrived. There's so many things that line up perfectly.
Well, he's in with the Paraiths. He's their emissary. And unlike the prophets, they don't seem to be that cryptic. They're more kind of practical.
Okay, so that's all it is.
The prophecy that Kai Wynn got, whilst quite vague, was immediately fulfilled, and he hit upon the right wording for tons of stuff. So it was fairly clear and accurate, which those two properties suggest it wasn't from the wormhole prophets, because they're never clear or accurate. Like, they can't even give Cisco a straight answer about what's going on.
Despite several pleadings. So when they have those visions, I like to imagine they happen in real time, so they're stuck in that fugue state, standing there mute for a solid 30 seconds while everyone is wondering what is happening. I don't actually think that's what's happening, but I want to imagine that.
It seemed that way in this episode, when Kai Wynn returned to reality. Kira was badgering her.
It did in that instance, but when Cisco has a vision during the wedding, it's a pretty long vision, and they don't seem too disturbed by how long he took to come back.
People pause at weddings, though.
He was pausing for dramatic effect.
With Cisco, yeah, that he does that all the time.
He was mid-sentence. I think he said, "I give you this ring," or "with this ring," and then stopped.
He's desperately trying to remember how it goes, even though Cassidy just said it. He wasn't paying any attention.
Wait, how does this go? Just stall.
Just sit and try to remember.
Maybe no one will notice if I don't move.
In terms of time passing, when he spoke to the prophets in the wormhole and got them to disappear the Dominion fleet, it didn't seem like any time passed. Although that might be different from a vision.
I don't think we're meant to see it as taking more than a second or two.
I don't think they really thought about it particularly, and it just some time passes if there's a dramatically valid reason for it.
Well, maybe their faces go blank, and then that's what worried Kira so much.
It's odd to see Kira really caring about the Kai. I mean, it would be petty just to not care if she's having a seizure or something.
She looked so ecstatic after the vision. Kaiwin, that is. That made me laugh because just before she was saying to Cisco, trying to fish for a pity party, well, I wouldn't know because they've never spoken to me directly.
Grumble, grumble. Cisco should have just responded with, well, honestly, they talk to me all the time. It gets frustrating.
My days are lousy with visions.
Cisco married Cassidy and defied the gods, which he defied before, I guess, and Judzi had died, so let's not put him off. He's still defying the gods again.
To be fair, that wasn't a great loss.
Hey, come on. But true.
Also, the symbiont survived, so she's kind of still around.
Well, yes, from Cisco's point of view, they ask these things, but without reason or justification, there's no real drive to do what they say. They don't understand time very well. They're not a reliable source of decision making.
To go along with whatever they say is to assume they're infallible, and I don't see reason to believe that, even though they perceive time in the way they do. They could still make mistakes, right?
I guess. I don't know. They don't have a good track record, though. Okay, the thing with Jadzia, maybe, and some of the other stuff, I'm not saying that their guidance is useless, but it's not like they have a golden record of saying, do this and it'll be good, and then it happens. You know, in fact, they aren't that much better than random noise. I'm possibly wrong by this. It's hard to remember all the little things they've done.
I was disappointed that Cisco initially listened to them and told Cassidy they couldn't get married. That doesn't seem very Cisco to me.
On one hand, they are timeless aliens who have some sort of godlike status over what happens. But on the other hand, marriage is just a legal document. Does it matter?
Right. She's still, well, she walked out on him, but let's say they didn't get married and she said, well, who cares? It's a piece of paper. I'm still going to live with you and be in your life. How is that different?
What about a civil partnership? Would that have been okay?
I guess the prophets just had a problem with specifically marriage.
Oh god. They're very right wing or something.
They're anti-rings. They just didn't want him to have a ring on.
Maybe that's it. Maybe at some point he'll, I don't know, be hit by a large electrical charge through his ring because it's a conductor.
Oh god.
And he'll be horribly killed and say, oh, if only I wasn't wearing a wedding ring. Dang, the prophets were right all along.
Now all I know is sorrow. I thought it was weird that Kira didn't tell Odo about the prophecy and how Cisco shouldn't be marrying Cassidy. He notices her sour disposition and then she just doesn't tell him anything.
She has said in the past that prophet visions are a personal matter. I think she would see it as Cisco's choice to share that information.
Okay, that's really fair.
If it was Dax or someone, they would be spilling it to everyone.
And she knows he doesn't give a hoot about anything with the Bajorn religion. or any religion, presumably.
Is it religious, though? This isn't a conviction that Cisco has based on faith. In fact, they were asking him on faith not to do something, and he kind of didn't follow that.
Well, it's faith in the wormhole aliens being prophets.
Well, that's just a label. They definitely exist, and they definitely have some highly unusual properties. So whether you call them prophets or call them wormhole aliens, their visions are presumably valid, regardless of faith. I'm not saying they're correct, but the information in them has some worth.
But thinking of them as prophets means whatever they say is dogma, that you have to listen to it.
Yeah, it's a biased way of viewing them, but I don't think that at its heart it's a religious matter. These are super future aliens, and they told Cisco, don't do this, we think it's a bad idea. And Cisco said, I don't care what you think, I'm doing it anyway. It's not religious. It might be considered that to Kira, but I think Odo would... I don't think he'd dismiss it. He just wouldn't accept it from a religious angle. He'd accept it from an empirical angle.
Right, that's all I wanted to get at, that she frames it as a religious thing where it's not... You wouldn't question the motivation of the wormhole aliens because they're prophets, so they're trying to guide you to the enlightenment or whatever.
I think Odo would have a similar conclusion for different reasons. He'd probably just say, well, they can see the future and they seem to work in our best interests. Maybe you should listen to them.
You didn't grumble enough for that beat to be an Odo.
Yeah.
There you go.
You humanoids.
Oh man, I forgot about that line.
I think Cisco has the right attitude towards weddings in wartime.
Quick and easy breezy?
Get it over with. Yep. Don't hang about. Don't wait for it all to be over. Because then you'll know only sorrow. I was reminded of your sort of nervousness over Jadzia and Worf's wedding.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't think that would come to pass, so Cisco has the right idea.
If I'm going to die, at least I'll be married.
And living in a thatched roof cottage, which was really weird to me.
Why?
Because it had like a thatched roof. The hell
You expect solar panels?
Yeah?
Oh, right. This is the future.
Yeah, what the hell? That's not a very good form of roofing. It's very rustic, but it's also terrible.
It's advanced solar paneling. In the future, it's not a panel, it's needles. So there's solar needles. There's more surface area.
That doesn't make any sense.
Shh.
Oh, okay.
Tradition says you're supposed to spend, 1 month's salary on a ring? But he doesn't make money. So how much did he spend on that ring? I think that prop ring he gave her was more appropriate.
When you say tradition, that's not really a tradition. That's a marketing scheme.
Okay. By marketing scheme standards.
Well, did he pay Quark?
He would have to. He got him the ring, and there's no way Quark works for free.
Quark owes Cisco a lot. He doesn't get charged rent or anything.
I don't see him doing anything for free, despite his debts.
I can totally see Cisco leaning on Quark. Get me this ring, or you're out of here.
Okay, I can see that.
You think Cisco would suddenly have a soft spot for the Ferengi? He'd say, oh,
No.
it would be wrong of me to do this. No. Get me a good ring, a really good one. Get it very soon.
Or you're going in the airlock.
Oh god. Is
Where
it that bad?
Ferengi belong.
Someone we've not mentioned, Damar.
I really liked when he had to turn away from the mirror to continue drinking.
A good example of problems forcing people to drink and then the drink becoming a problem. He seems not very valued by anyone.
He's kind of bouncing along here and there.
When Wayun was dismissing, even telling Damar where they're going or anything, and Damar was wandering about, he seems like a kind of empty figurehead.
He's a sad figure.
It doesn't look great for Damar right now. If I was Damar, I'd be making myself very useful because well, you know how the Dominion are.
I think he sees the writing on the wall and he's waiting for it to end. I think he knows he has no good way out.
Hence the drinking. I guess.
Yeah.
I really like Damar. He's a really subtle character.
I was dismissive of him before, but I like him a lot too. And this is a good episode for him. And he's not out there as a character. He's not very, I don't know.
There's not a lot on the surface, but there's a lot under the surface. It's like still waters run deep.
Yeah, there you go. And I sort of missed that until very recently.
I guess when I'm saying this, it's not just based on this episode. It's based on
Right.
previous stuff. Like he took down the wormhole mines. He had some very choice tactics when Cisco and Worf and co were infiltrating the Klingon homeworld. He was quite ruthless there. He's a smart guy. He's quite determined. So it's odd to see him wandering the halls, kind of useless and drunk. It's like he's kind of fallen from grace, but not really. I don't know.
It's appropriate that I underappreciated the character who is underappreciated in the show.
When he was introduced, he was deliberately made underwhelming. In fact, I think he wasn't named in the first episode he showed up in.
That first impression stuck with me because I always thought of him as a right-hand man and not his own person.
I remember, I think I talked about him on the podcast, and you said, who are you talking about? Who is this guy? Or maybe I didn't. I can't remember.
That seems likely.
The Ezri and Worf romance, or unromance, is kicking up a notch with her uttering Julian's name, and do you even care?
I do not.
Me neither. Well, it's okay. Yeah, fair enough. There's some romance thrown in. I don't know. Whatever.
The part that I liked, they kind of skipped over. I liked when Worf said, "You and I will have many years together," because that's super awkward, and he just jumped right to that conclusion that, well, you have Jadzia's memories, so naturally we should be together forever again. And Esri looked uncomfortable after he said that, but then it wasn't really revisited. But it probably fed into the tensions that arise. But I wanted them to specifically touch more on that and how awkward that is.
That's classic Worf. someone blows a kiss his way and he's already doing the marriage vows. I think Ezri just kind of brushed that aside because they are in captivity. It's not the
yeah.
best
It's not
time.
worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, about that, I think we should get a divorce even though we're not married. That's not the best thing to say when you're in a cell with a frustrated Klingon.
We're prisoners, and it's possible we may die here, but I want you to know I do not want to be with you.
I have one piece of trivia. That's not even trivia. The clock that Sisko built in the episode Dramatis Personae in season 1 was still in his office
I failed to notice.
when he was talking to Kai Wynn.
He doesn't play with his baseball enough these days.
Do they
That's
still
what's
have it?
causing all of these problems. I think he does.
He must do. He would never give that up unless he did. Last I saw, he was on Tyree, threw it, and then found the orb of the emissary. Maybe he just doesn't like baseball anymore after the holodeck adventure.
It lost its shine.
Wait, was that the ball they signed?
No?
I wouldn't think it would be, that because that's Cisco's baseball. Wouldn't let people scribble on it
Yeah, he wouldn't let people.
near it.
Yeah. He loves that thing more than Jake.
I guess we'll see it soon. We'll keep an eye out for it. Do you have a quote that you would like to share with us?
To them, I'm the Cisco, an instrument to carry out their wishes, but they forget that I am also human, with dreams and wishes of my own. They say that marrying Cassidy is a mistake, and maybe it is, but it's my mistake to make.
Cisco has agency. Gosh, that's going to annoy the prophets.
He's kind of parenting himself. He's gonna make a mistake, as in me, but sometimes you have to.
He is the station's dad.
There you go. He's dad to himself.
He's his own dad, even though we know who his dad is.
He's his own real dad. His real dad is his fake dad.
But his fake dad is his real dad?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I like how he says it's my mistake to make.
It's a good line, and I'm glad he came to that conclusion. That's the Cisco I know.
He doesn't let people tell him what to do.
Ever.
Pretty much. Well, it's the gods talking to him, and he's like, no, I'm sorry. You may have heard of me. I'm Benjamin Sisko. I do what I want.
It's really funny when you consider it. He is confronted by wormhole aliens who can see the future, and he says, nah, I'm good.
It's the equivalent of God calling you on a phone and then just hanging up halfway through. So, not interested. Hang up. Let's move on to the next episode.
That is a fantastic idea.
Let's see if Kaiwin and Ducat bring their relationship to a new steamy level.
Second base.
8th base. Come on, it's Ducat and Kaiwin. You know they're going to be into some freaky stuff.
It's so up the charts they have to invent new bases.
They're not even integer bases. Base 7.8.
I don't want to know.
Well, okay, maybe Martok will be in the next episode then.
Yeah. And the baseball.
Yeah, Martok and baseball. We need a checklist of things we want. All right, let's do it.
Okay.